Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you the latest development in the tearful love story of single mother Lý Hoài Ca, a strong woman who is constantly forced to face life's cruelest trials. In the previous episode, while Hùng, the only man who has always silently protected Hoài Ca, was lying in a hospital bed, too weak to even take care of himself, Hoài Ca, out of worry for him, decided to return to her old house to check on the situation. But she never expected that very decision would push her straight into a living nightmare. The moment she stepped inside, Hoài Ca was captured by Hùng mother, a woman who has been on the run from the law. Her bloodshot eyes, filled with hatred, seemed ready to devour Hoài Ca whole. Now, in that pitch-dark house, the only sounds were the howling wind seeping through the cracks, and Hoài Ca's pounding heartbeat, echoing with sheer terror. No one knows if she will ever make it out of there. Will someone show up in time to save Hoài Ca? Or will she have to face the cold, ruthless cruelty of Hùng mother, all alone? Don't take your eyes off this video. Every second from here on will leave you breathless. Hùng had been lying in the hospital for several days. The cold, sterile white walls, the pungent smell of disinfectant, and the steady beeping of the heart monitor all seemed to suffocate his mind. Every passing second felt like an eternity. Though the doctors kept telling him to rest, Hùng simply couldn't find peace. A heavy sense of dread clutched his chest like an invisible hand, making every breath feel painfully labored. Every few minutes, he reached for his phone. The screen lit up in the silent hospital room. He dialed Hoài Ca's number, hoping that just hearing her voice might ease the weight in his heart. But every time, it was the same, only the cold, endless ringing, and then silence. No one answered. Hoài Ca, where are you? Hùng whispered hoarsely, his voice trembling. A fit of coughing racked his body, but he still pressed the call button again, desperate, only to be met with that same terrifying silence. Unable to endure it any longer, Hùng called Ha, the only person he could rely on at this moment. As soon as he heard the hello on the other end, he spoke, his voice raspy, exhausted, yet urgent. Ha, help me. I'm in the hospital. I was admitted suddenly, and the doctors are keeping me for observation. I didn't get a chance to tell Hoài Ca. Please, tell her for me, tell her I'm okay. I'll be back in a few days. Tell her not to worry. Ha was silent for a moment, then her voice came through, full of concern. Hùng, what happened? Why didn't you say anything? Wait. This morning, Hoài Ca told me she planned to go back to the old house. She said she wanted to check on the trees, the animals, and I think she might be looking for you. Hung's heart clenched like it was being crushed. He bolted upright in his hospital bed, ignoring the wave of dizziness that hit him. Ha! You have to go there, now. If Hoài Ca really went back, stay with her. Don't let her be alone. I can't stop worrying. Tell her I'm in the hospital, and I'll be home in a few days. I'm scared something might happen to her. Ha tightened her grip on the phone, hearing the panic in Hung's voice. She nodded firmly, answering with determination. Don't worry. I'm going right now. You need to rest. The call ended. Hùng collapsed back onto the bed. His hand gripped the bedsheet so tightly that his knuckles turned white. He stared blankly at the ceiling, his red-rimmed eyes full of exhaustion and fear. Only one thought echoed in his mind, Hoài Ca, please, be safe. Meanwhile, Ha threw on her coat and rushed out of her house. She ran while frantically calling Hoài Ca, but the only reply was the cold, endless ringing. An ominous feeling crept over her, pushing her to run faster. At that very moment, in the damp, shadowy old house. Hawa was in the clutches of Hung's mother. After days of hiding, the woman had finally returned. Her bloodshot eyes burned with hatred, her twisted face contorted by years of resentment. Her rough, bony hands dug into Hawa's shoulders, as if she wanted to crush her right then and there. Hawa struggled desperately, but there was no escape. The house was silent except for the sound of the wind whistling through the cracks, the creak of the wooden floorboards, and her panicked, uneven breaths. Outside, the night slowly swallowed every last ray of hope. Ha ran faster and faster, her mind filled with images of Hawa, her gentle smile, her unyielding spirit. She told herself, I won't let anything happen to her. As for Hung, though still in his hospital bed, his eyes remained wide open, staring into the darkness outside the window. His instincts screamed at him, something was terribly wrong. Hearing Hung's words, Ha couldn't help but feel a deep sense of worry. His heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst out of his chest. Without a second of hesitation, Ha jumped into his car, started the engine, and pressed the accelerator to the floor. The road to Hawa's old house felt endless. The sky was pitch black, the wind howled through the trees, and the rustling of dry leaves sounded like an ominous warning lurking in the darkness. In Ha's chest, an unshakable sense of dread grew stronger with every passing second. When he finally stopped the car in front of the house, Ha's eyes froze. From the crack of the door spilled a dim, flickering yellow light. Inside, a terrifying scene tore through the silence of the night. Hung's mother, her hair a tangled mess, her bloodshot eyes wild with fury, her face twisted with rage, was yanking Hawa's hair so violently that she nearly collapsed to her knees. Please, calm down, we can talk this out, Hawa sobbed, her trembling voice desperate as her small hands clawed helplessly at the fingers digging into her scalp. But the woman didn't stop. Instead, she snarled like a cornered beast. Shut up. You wretched fox. You destroyed my family. If it weren't for you, Hung would never have abandoned his own mother. Her scream reverberated through the decrepit house, loud enough to make the rotting window frames shake. Hawa's tear-streaked face was frozen in terror. Ha couldn't stand it any longer. He stormed into the house, shouting, "Stop right now. What do you think you're doing?" He lunged forward, grabbing Hung's mother's arm and pulling her back with all his strength, forcing her to release Hawa. The woman struggled, but in the end, she had to let go. Hawa crumpled to the floor, gasping for air, her eyes wide and trembling like a frightened bird narrowly escaping a predator's claws. But Hung's mother didn't stop. She pointed a shaking finger at Hawa, her voice hoarse with hatred. "I won't forgive you. If you don't get out of Hung's life, I swear. I'll kill you. Or I'll end my own life right in front of him, so he'll hate you for the rest of his days." Her words were like an icy blade stabbing into Hawa's heart. She trembled uncontrollably, her lips quivering but unable to form a word. Ha stepped in front of her, spreading his arms protectively, his eyes sharp and unwavering. "That's enough." Ha growled, his body tense, ready to stop the woman if she made another move. But Hung's mother wasn't listening. She took another step forward, her bloodshot eyes blazing like fire, her hand raised, ready to strike Hawa again. Hawa burst into tears, her voice breaking. "Please, don't do this. I beg you." The house seemed to freeze in that suffocating moment. Outside, the wind howled, slamming against the worn-out windows, as if amplifying the tension inside. Ha shifted half a step back, holding Hawa California close as she trembled, his gaze never leaving the deranged woman in front of him. And then, she screamed, a raw, guttural sound that seemed to tear the night apart. If you don't stay away from Hung, I'll make the whole world know you're the one who destroyed my family. Ha gritted his teeth, fighting to keep calm, but his fists clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. He knew one wrong move, and everything would spiral out of control. In a moment of unbearable tension, Ha suddenly pulled out his phone. His voice was firm, resolute. If you don't stop, I'll call the police right now. The word police struck Hung's mother like an invisible blade. She froze for a few seconds, her bloodshot eyes flashing with panic. Her raised hand slowly lowered, and then, without warning, she spun around and bolted into the night, her staggering figure vanishing into the darkness. Ha was about to dial the police, determined to have her arrested, but before he could press the call button, Hawa, still trembling and weak, grabbed his hand tightly and shook her head. Ha, don't, she's still Hung's mother. If you call the police now, she'll be charged for assaulting me. Then, there'll be no way back for her. Ha stared at Hawa, frustration burning in his eyes. But what if she comes back? Hawa bit her lip, her voice barely more than a whisper. I believe, one day she'll turn herself in. I don't want Hung to see his mother cornered like that. It would only hurt him even more. Looking into her tear-filled eyes, Ha felt an indescribable ache in his chest. After a long pause, he put his phone away and gently supported her. All right. I'll do as you say. He carefully led Hawa out of that wretched, suffocating house. Darkness still cloaked the world outside, but Ha shielded her with his presence, as if he could keep the entire world from hurting her ever again. On the way back, Hawa sat in silence. She gazed blankly out the car window, tears still glistening on her cheeks. Ha glanced at her from time to time through the rearview mirror, but he didn't say a word. He knew no comfort could reach the pain she was carrying right now. Inside, Ha's chest was heavy with guilt. He bit his lip, his hands tightening on the steering wheel. If only I had gone with her. If only I hadn't let her come here alone, none of this would have happened. As he looked at Hawa, curled up in her seat, so small and fragile it hurt to see, Ha made a silent vow to himself. No matter what happens, he will never let her be hurt like this again. That night, when they finally returned home, Hawa was utterly exhausted. Her whole body felt as if it had just endured an endless nightmare. Ha gently helped her inside, guided her to sit down on the chair, and quickly poured her a cup of warm water. Hawa took the cup in her trembling hands, her tired eyes still trying to form a faint smile. Please don't tell anyone about what happened tonight, especially not Hung. I don't want him to worry any more than he already does. Ha froze for a moment. He looked at Hawa's pale face, and a wave of sorrow washed over him. Hawa, after what she did to you, you still want to hide this? Are you really going to protect her too? Hawa shook her head softly. Her voice was quiet but firm. I'm not protecting her. I just want to give her one last chance. If we call the police now, she'll have no way out. But if we let her think it through, maybe she'll turn herself in. If that happens, her punishment might be reduced. I don't want things to get any worse than they already are. Ha clenched his fists tightly. He couldn't understand how someone who had been hurt so badly could still think about the person who had caused her pain. In her eyes, there wasn't a trace of hatred, only an inexplicable, heartbreaking compassion. He exhaled deeply and finally nodded. All right. I promise. I won't say anything to Hung. But from now on, Hawa, you can't keep enduring everything alone. If something happens, you have to tell me. I don't ever want to see you hurt like this again. Hawa gave him a faint smile, but that smile carried a warmth that quietly seeped into Ha's heart. Thank you, Ha. As she slowly drifted off to sleep from exhaustion, Ha stood beside her, watching in silence. His heart was filled with both tenderness and guilt. He knew she was strong, but it was exactly because she was too kind that she always chose to bear the pain alone. Ha gently pulled a thin blanket over her shoulders, his eyes softening as he silently made a vow. Hawa, from now on, I'll never let you face any of this alone again. That night, in the quiet of her room, Hawa lay on her bed, her empty gaze fixed on the ceiling. The darkness seemed to swallow her small world whole. Every word from Hung's mother still echoed in her mind, sharp and merciless, cutting deeper into her already weary heart. Leave Hung, or I'll end my life right in front of him. I'll make sure he carries the guilt of being unfilial for the rest of his life. Those words repeated over and over, relentless, leaving her unable to sleep. She bit her lip hard, her chest tightening with unbearable pain. Was she wrong to choose to stay by Hung's side? Was their love the reason everything had become so tangled and cruel? The image of Hung lying in the hospital, his pale face drained of strength, surfaced in her mind. He had already endured so much, the crushing weight of debt, his failing health, and now, his mother. Hawa knew that if she continued to stay with him, his mother would never stop. She would do anything, to tear them apart, even if it meant using her own life to chain Hung in endless torment. Gripping the blanket tightly, her hands turned cold. A single tear slid down her cheek, soaking into the pillow. Maybe, leaving him, is the only way. The thought rang in her mind like a sentence she had pronounced upon herself. She didn't want to let go of this love, but if her presence only forced Hung to choose between his duty to his mother and his feelings for her, then she would rather be the one to hurt first. Turning toward the window, Hawa stared into the still night. The moon hung in the sky, as if silently bearing witness to her silent agony. In that moment, she whispered to herself, Hung, forgive me. As long as you can be at peace, as long as you don't have to suffer anymore, I'll choose to leave you. And that very night, Hawa made the most important decision of her life, a decision that would change everything. The next morning, as the sun slowly rose above the distant mountains, Hawa and Ha quietly made their way to the fields. The highland air was crisp and cool, carrying with it the earthy scent of damp soil and wild grass. Neither of them spoke a word, the only sounds were the steady thud of the hoe striking the ground and the soft rustle of leaves in the wind. After a while, Hawa set her hoe down and sat on a nearby rock, her gaze lost in the distance. Seeing her like that, Ha walked over and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Hawa, if something's weighing on you, just say it. Don't keep it bottled up inside. Hawa stayed silent for a long moment. Finally, she took a deep breath, her voice trembling. Ha. I've thought about it. I can't stay with Hung anymore. If we keep going, it'll only bring more pain. His mother will never accept me. And I don't want Hung to be torn between his duty as a son and his feelings for me. If one day she does something reckless, I'll never be able to forgive myself. Her eyes turned red, but she forced a faint, fragile smile. All I want now is to live peacefully with Tony, without dragging anyone else into this tragedy. Ha froze. He stared at Hawa for a long while, as if trying to etch every word she said into his heart. His chest ached, seeing her give up love just to spare someone else from suffering. Clenching his fists, his voice came out deep, steady, and resolute. Hawa, if that's truly your decision, then, give me a chance. Let me protect you in Hung's place. I swear I'll never let you get hurt again. Just let me stay by your side, and I'll take care of you and Tony, like a real family. Hawa's eyes widened in shock. She turned to look at Ha. In his gaze, there was no pity, only a quiet, steadfast love, strong and unwavering like the mountains around them. She lowered her head, silent for a long time. Her heart felt torn in two. On one side was Hung, the love she could never forget. On the other was Ha, the man who had always stood behind her, ready to catch her no matter how hard she fell. In that moment, Hawa realized, the time had come for her to make a choice. In the stark white hospital room, Hung lay on his bed, his eyes fixed on the ceiling while his mind was in turmoil. Since morning, he had called Hawa countless times, but there was no answer. Each time the message, "The number you are trying to reach is unavailable," echoed from his phone, it felt like another knife cutting deeper into his heart. Hung was so restless he wanted to get out of bed immediately, regardless of his condition. He had even tried asking the doctor to discharge him early, but the doctor firmly refused. "Mr. Hung, your body is still weak. If you insist on leaving now, it will only make things worse. Stay for a few more days, and we'll release you as soon as it's safe." Hung nodded reluctantly, but his heart refused to calm down. He bit his lip, suppressing the fever still burning in his body, while his thoughts were consumed by only one person, Hawa. "Hawa, where are you? Are you safe?" he whispered in despair. It wasn't just Hawa he worried about. His mother's disappearance haunted him just as much. No one knew if she was alive or dead, or if she had turned herself in. Hung felt trapped between anger and sorrow, but deep down, he only wished she was still alive, even if it meant facing justice. Then there were the debts, heavy chains binding him tighter every day. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw flashes of the past, those days when he was healthy, when Hawa still smiled beside him, and little Tony's cheerful voice echoed in the house. Those peaceful days now felt painfully distant. In the silence of the hospital room, Hung clenched his fists so tightly that his nails dug into his skin. He felt cornered, by illness, by his missing mother, by endless debts, and worst of all, by Hawa's silence. "As long as you're safe. I can endure it all," Hung told himself, his bloodshot eyes fixed ahead, though not a single tear fell. He didn't know what else to do. All he could do was lie there, letting his fever and his thoughts torment him, waiting for time, or perhaps a miracle, to give him an answer. Meanwhile, in the quiet of the night, Hawa sat alone by the window, her eyes heavy with sorrow as she stared into the endless dark sky. The threats from Hung's mother, the disappointed look in Hung's eyes in those final days before he was hospitalized, and Ha's quiet, steadfast kindness, all of it pierced her heart like 1,000 tiny needles. She knew she couldn't go on like this forever. On one side was the man she loved with all her heart. On the other was Ha, offering her peace and stability. But if she chose wrong, she would lose everything. Back in the hospital, Hung lay there unaware that Hawa had made up her mind to leave him. All he hoped for was to recover soon, to come back home, to hold her and Tony just like before. He didn't know that what awaited him might be a truth far more painful than any wound on his body. And Hung's mother, had she truly vanished? Or was the hatred still burning inside her, waiting for the right moment to strike again, dragging them all deeper into tragedy? And Ha, the man who had always stood silently behind Hawa, this time, would he finally have the courage to step forward and take her hand, or would he keep hiding in the shadows as he always had? Everything was tangled like a web with no escape. Yet somewhere, deep in the hearts of all of them, there was still a glimmer of hope, a hope for one last chance to save everything. So, will Hawa truly leave Hung and choose Ha? What will Hung's mother do next as she continues to evade the police? And when Hung is discharged, what will he do when he learns that Hawa is preparing to leave him? All of this will be revealed in the next episode. Stay tuned, because this is only the beginning.
Hello, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Mình vừa mới hoàn thành xong video tập tiếp theo của nội dung về câu chuyện của Lý Hoài Ca. Như mọi người cũng đã biết thì mấy ngày hôm nay Lý Hoài Ca thì nội dung video nó đang rất là kịch tính và nội dung khá là dài, nên mình sẽ chia ra nhiều tập để mọi người dễ xem. Mình hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ đón xem những video một cách đầy đủ để có thể nắm bắt được hết tình tiết cũng như là diễn biến câu chuyện. Và mình hy vọng rằng với câu chuyện thì có thể một phần nào đó góp phần giúp cho mọi người vui vẻ hơn, có nhiều niềm vui trong cuộc sống hơn. Và mình chúc cho mọi người thật là nhiều sức khỏe và rất mong là trong những video tiếp theo mình có thể tiếp tục gặp mọi người. Mọi người ơi, thì hiện tại kênh của mình thì đang lên nội dung về câu chuyện tình yêu của Lý Hoài Ca và cuộc sống khó khăn xung quanh cô. Sau này thì mình sẽ phát triển thêm nhiều nội dung khác nữa trên kênh. Hy vọng là sẽ nhận được sự ủng hộ của mọi người. Cảm ơn mọi người.